What's up, everybody? Welcome to the CanesInSight Daily Podcast, powered by Anijar and Levine Accident Attorneys. A lot to talk about, obviously. I'm going to do two shows today. Got the Mike Ryan show this afternoon. Looks like 1:30. Want to do a morning show with the lads and ladies in the chat. Answer any questions you have and go over really Texas A&M's offense. Been watching a ton of Texas A&M games. I think about 8 or 9 at this point. Really trying to understand their offense, just in terms of personnel, kind of what they like to do, where their strengths are, where their weaknesses are, and we'll go over that. People will be hopping in here in a second, but first I want to talk about our friends at Anijar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anijar and Levine. All right, like I said, people hopping in a second, but chat's already popping. D-Hucks, lace your boots up. That'll be the slogan from Keelan Marion for this playoff run. Hopefully lacing your boots up all the way until January 19th in Miami Gardens. But first things first, of course, going to an extremely hostile environment, Kyle Field, College Station, and taking on what's really a very, very good Texas A&M team. So, watching these games, and we talked about this briefly, and we'll continue to break this game down from every angle possible. But to me, the thing that stands out about Texas A&M first and foremost is their offensive line. This is a really good unit. It's going to be the best unit that our defensive has faced, aside from practice going against Miami's offensive line. I mean, these are really probably the top two offensive lines in the country, or at least in that conversation. Texas A&M, very experienced group, good size, really good pass blocking, good run blocking as well. Just a complete offensive line and a very complete offense. This is, you think Texas A&M, you think about, RC Slocum, some of those very physical defensive teams, but this is really an offensive team. Their defense is solid, and we'll break that down here in an episode to come. But I think the offense is really what drives this team and what has propelled them to the playoffs, even though Mike Elko, again, defensive coach, Colin Klein's offense, really, really strong, which has allowed him to get that job at his alma mater as the head coach of Kansas State. So that's something to watch there when you see that their offensive coordinator, the person who really runs this offense for a defensive coach, he's a head coach now in waiting at Kansas State. He's going to be their head coach with Chris Klieman retiring. So he's kind of doing two jobs at once, which has been done. Sometimes it's been done successfully. You also have situations like when Lane Kiffin was trying to do two jobs and be the head coach of FAU, be the offensive coordinator for Alabama, and Saban just kind of said, go home. You can't do both jobs. So we'll see how this one goes. But, just looking at the numbers here, we'll start with the numbers. And we'll do a lot of breakdowns, do S's and O's breakdowns. We'll do all this. I really want to start kind of just with the basics on this show, which is the numbers, the people involved, the personnel, and sort of the strengths and weaknesses. So looking at the numbers, these are national numbers based on performance against against FBS competition. So all the FCS games are gone. 15th in scoring offense for this Texas A&M offense, 35.3 points per game. Big number. Miami is, I believe, 18th. So Texas A&M sitting strong there at 15th, 35.3 points per game. 15th in yards per play, 6.6. This is an explosive offense. Doesn't run a lot of plays, but when they do, they're explosive. 15th in time of possession. So if you're looking for maybe just something to look forward to in terms of game flow, I think this is going to be a very low play game. It's going to be one of those games that's over before you know it. I hate that because I want to relish every second of this playoff. Hopefully there's more playoff games to relish, but this could be a quick game because both teams, Miami and Texas A&M, like to hold on to the ball. If you're looking for a weakness on this offense, I would say 64th in third down percentage, meaning they're converting 39.72% of their third downs for first downs. That is significantly worse than Miami, and that is, I think, where the weakness lies here. If you force them into third down situations, particularly passing downs, and force Marcel Reed to drop back and throw when you know he's going to throw, he's a lot less effective. And look, that's true of every offense, really, but I think particularly of Texas A&M. They like to get yards in chunks. They do not like to pick up third downs. Miami, much better third down percentage team. And I mentioned the time of possession. Seconds per play, which is based like the pace you play with. Texas A&M, 110th in the nation. Miami in the 120s. So you're talking about two teams that like to play slow in terms of their pace. So you could see a game that just flies by, right, with the way these teams like to hold on to the ball. The running game, Texas A&M is good, and I believe it is the key to this game as far as stopping the run. I mentioned one of the keys was forcing them into third down situations. What follows there, you got to stop the run to force them into those situations. You got to earn the right to rush the passer, as a lot of defensive coordinators like to say. Texas A&M can run the ball. 29th in rushing yards per game, 187.9. 25th in yards per rush, 5.0. 44th in rush play percentage, meaning 54.88% of their plays are run plays. That's the 44th highest ratio in the country. So they like to run. These numbers are juiced up a bit because their quarterback runs, right? So he's getting about 37 yards per game running. So that juices up all these totals. He's a threat to run, as we know. They are a much better running team when they have Le'Veon Moss, their power back, in the backfield. You saw that against Notre Dame. He was very, very effective, particularly in the deep red zone. He's like their Fletcher. Without him, they are much less balanced in their running game, right? So he's been injured for several weeks. Sounds like he may come back for this game. I don't know how effective he's going to be. I mean, we'll find out, right? We'll learn more, I'm sure, in the weeks to come before the game on the 20th. But without him, I think this running game can be stopped. Miami's run defense is elite. There's a good running game, of course, with the quarterback, but I don't see a ton of dynamic ability in the backfield. I think Moss, with his power, really brought this unit forward. And without him, I think they might have some problems. Not that they're going to be terrible running the ball, but I think they're going to be a lot less effective if he can't get going. But we'll find out. That's something to keep an eye on in the 10 days leading up to the game. Looking at the offensive line, I mentioned elite pass protection unit, 9th in the country in quarterback sack percentage. That's the percentage of dropbacks that result in a sack. Only 3.22%. So Marcel Reed's dropping back. He's only getting sacked 3.22%. That's a top 10 number. Miami Hurricanes also a top 10 number in this category. Yards per attempt. So basically all the attempts, all the yards divided by the amount of attempts. So this takes into account completion percentage, how explosive you are when you are completing the ball. They are 12th nationally in yards per attempt, 8.8 yards per attempt. Is a very healthy number for their running or for their passing game. Yards per completion, and this is where I think they're really, really strong. 7th in the nation in yards per completion at 14.3 per completion. That's 3rd in the Power 4 behind FSU and Ole Miss. So when they do complete passes, they are explosive passes. Marcel Reed's not, a 75% passer like Carson Beck. He's more closer to 60, 61. But when he does complete it to these explosive receivers who we'll go through in a second, it is extremely dangerous because they can run out to the catch. They can run downfield. It is a big play offense in the passing game. By the same token, not as good in the red zone, right? These big explosive play dominant passing games, when it shrinks, then the field's compressed, not necessarily as effective always. Texas A&M 43rd in the country in red zone TD percentage. So 65.45% of the time they get in the red zone, they score TDs. That's the 43rd best mark in the country. Miami's different. Miami's not an explosive offense, but Miami's much better once they get into the red zone. In terms of explosive plays, Texas A&M 17th in the nation in 20-plus yard plays, 40th in the nation in 30-plus yard plays, and 28th in the nation in 40-plus yard plays. So question here from Bobby T. Are there any guys on our side that are not 100% that will be 100% come game day? OJ Frederic, I think, will be fine. David Blay. Really the one you're looking at is Keontae Scott with the turf toe. So we'll see where that one goes. But you're going to need all those guys against this type of offense. Before we get to the personnel, just some questions here. Evan Freed with the comments says, we need a healthy David Blade for this game, and our linebackers need to be lights out. Yeah, you got to stop the run. Michael Caputi, I've seen a lot of Texas A&M fans saying the game time sucks because it's so early, 11 a.m. local time. I think that will help us because this is a very hostile environment. Obviously, the more time they get to drink and get rowdy, the louder they're going to get. It's interesting place. I went to College Station for the game we played last time. Definitely big, definitely loud. Not as rowdy, like a party atmosphere. It's kind of straight-laced by SEC or Miami standards. just the way they party and stuff. It's kind of, it's got that military vibe. People are pretty on point there. It's not like a wild, rowdy scene, but of course it does get very loud and enthusiastic once the game starts and the place gets packed. But it's not like one of these crazy tailgate kind of scenes. There's a different energy there at Texas A&M in College Station, at least from what I experienced back in 2022 when Miami went there the first time with Mario Cristobal, his first big game. Mr. Milan Baby said, all we have to do is send pressure in long situations. He's going to use his feet, and he's always still short. Marcel Reed being a shorter player. I have not seen a game where he threw a deep ball. He's gonna press. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how they want to play it. I think you also got to keep him in the pocket as well. That's something we saw with Heinschel, something we saw with CJ Bailey, some of the more mobile quarterbacks Miami's faced. Kelly Jennings hurt Miami. Sorry, Kevin Jennings from SMU hurt Miami this way. But you want to keep those guys in the pocket. Ruben Bain and Messidor, such powerful pass rushers. You want to keep Marcel Reed in the pocket. Blue Green Street says Texas A&M had the nicest fans. Yes, I saw no issue when I was there. They were nice. They weren't fighting or doing anything wild with Miami fans. If anything, Miami fans are usually the rowdy ones. They were pretty kind of like Nebraska in that way. So looking at the personnel here, you look at the receiving core. I think this is where you see just a lot of explosive ability. You got Ashton Bethel Roman, a redshirt freshman, number 3. He's been emerging lately as that outside receiver, that split end. Not the biggest guy in the world, but it's super explosive, big time jumper in high school on the track and field. You can see that explosiveness both with the ball, his run after the catch ability, and ability to get downfield. KC Concepcion, we know well. He's the flanker. They move him all around. Number 7, NC State transfer. Someone we saw in person a couple of years ago. He really hurt Miami in that 2023 season. Just a very, very, almost like a running back with the ball in his hands. And he's also a very good punt returner. But he's emerged as a receiver in this Texas A&M offense. And then Mario Craver, the Mississippi State transfer, true sophomore, young guy. That was a really, really good portal addition for them. Smaller player, going to line up in the slot, but he's not your quicker than fast slot. This guy is fast. He's going to test you vertically. Had a huge play against Notre Dame, caught the ball, broke multiple tackles, and then went to the house. He is extremely, extremely explosive. So all 3 of those guys, you wouldn't say any of those guys are like the possession receiver. That's really not how this offense is. They don't have what I would call a possession receiver. They don't have what I would call a contested catch receiver. They are all explosive, downfield players. Just to give you some stats to back up what I'm saying. KC Concepcion, 57 catches, 886 yards, 15.5 yards per catch, 9 touchdowns. Mario Craver, 52 catches, 825 yards, 15.9 yards per catch. And you get to Ashton Bethel Roman, 20 catches, 459 yards, 23 yards per catch with a long of 76, and that's 5 touchdowns for him. So, you're talking about probably the most explosive wide receiver group, just as pure explosiveness and the depth of explosive players. I would put this at a very high category. Obviously, Ohio State's got the best receivers in the country with what they do with their size and speed and route running and the whole package. But I think just in terms of pure juice, this has got to be, to me, 1 or 2 in the country. Again, there's benefits and there's negatives. The benefit being, if you're playing them, they don't have the different body types that can hurt you. Obviously, the hard part about defending them is one mistake and they can go all the way. And it's not just one guy. You also have Terry Bussey, number 2, who is a very highly recruited player out of high school. He only has 15 catches for 182 yards, but he's explosive as well. You got to watch out for him. He can also return kicks. So that's the receiving core. That's going to be what you're watching first and foremost, because one play from those guys can change the game. Move on to the quarterback position. Marcel Reed, Heisman candidate at one point, really, really good player, smaller player, 6'1". I don't know how big he is. He's listed. Let me see what he's listed at. 185 from Nashville. I'd say that's about right, but if anything, he's lighter than that. He's just not a big guy, but very, very talented, very poised. I like his mental game. He doesn't get shook. 2,900 yards, 62% passer, 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, only 10 sacks on the season. This guy's not getting sacked very often. He has good pocket movement, right? He's not just a guy that spooks and runs around. A lot of times, some of these more mobile quarterbacks get sacked. Oh, look at who's there. Pete.
Big pocket movement guy, huh?
Yeah, you moved right into the pocket right here. I was looking at the stats.
I've been here for like 30 seconds. I was gonna see how long I could go until you noticed it.
But yeah, man, we're just breaking down. I went through some stats on this Texas A&M offense. I went through the receivers who I know before we even get to Marcel Reed, who I was just talking about. You like these receivers a lot. Talk about why you think this is a dangerous group.
Well, D, I don't want to break this up too much, but I did want to talk about something real quick that I think is very newsworthy. Some information that I got
please.
Overnight. Yeah. So this is a question that's been asked to me a lot, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with this game in specific, but in regards to Miami's early enrollees and their ability to practice, right? Because technically, certain guys would be able to practice, right? Players who are early enrollees. And basically, if Miami has all of a prospects, they don't have to be fully enrolled in a school yet, right? Like their school stuff wouldn't start until second, third week of January, whenever classes start. But if the school has all of their official graduation paperwork, they are eligible to practice, not to play, but to practice. And this is something that's been going on the last couple of years. Miami hasn't utilized it, to my knowledge, previously. But other schools, if there's a lot of opt-outs, they want to get guys an early start. From what I understand, there are 11 players that would be able to get going here technically before January 1st. But Miami's plan right now is obviously they're focused on the game. They're not going to have those guys come in if it's less than half the class, right? Their thought is if you could get all of them in here at one time, and right now, from what I understand, 28 out of 30 guys are good to go to enroll in January. Milan Paris, Frederick Saintis, just trying to get a few things cleared up. There's still some hope that they can get here middle of the year, or start of the year, I should say. But again, is this something that potentially after January 1st, if Miami's in a semifinal game, it's projecting, but is this something that could come into play? I believe it is, if you can get all 30, 28 plus guys in here practicing. But, there's a lot logistically that goes into it, all that. So I don't think that their focus right now is, hey, let's get these 11 guys on campus and get them ready to start practicing. But it's very interesting note that I thought.
Yeah, no, I always see these great teams doing that time of year and kind of get jealous, right? Because we weren't in that
playoff
situation.
Things, man. This is playoff things.
Yeah, so good problems to have, or not even problems, good opportunities to have. That means you're playing deep into the season, and a lot of guys who I think could benefit from that environment for sure. It's a good jumpstart to their college careers. We'll get them even further ahead before they start spring. Real quick, want to talk about one of the reasons why Miami is having a lot of success, and that is UHealth, the University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute. If you're an athlete or just an active person, you probably know how hard it is to sit on the injured list with pain or injury, maybe even try to hack your own rehab. But if compromising your movement or performance is not an option, call the experts at the University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute. Whether it's a league competition with Miami Hurricanes athletics or everyday movement, the University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute is the trusted choice for those who demand excellence. Set an appointment today at uhealthsports.com. All right, so Pete,
receivers. Yeah, Texas A&M receivers.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
With Concepcion, we understand the weapon he is. I think anytime he touches it, he can take it the distance. Craver's the one that has really stood out to me, right? In terms of he's not the biggest receiver in the world, but I really like his ball skills. He's tenacious, right? Like he's got he's got some feistiness to him, right? So I know that we look at them as smaller receivers, and I like the matchup that Miami has with their secondary and expecting to hopefully get an OJ Frederick back. We'll see what happens with Keontae Scott, but I like the bodies Miami can throw at them. But at the same time, you can't judge them by their size. They have a couple other guys. Like everyone there, when they touch the ball, has the ability to break a tackle, to make a guy miss, and to create an explosive out of very little. And that, to me, is a test. We have it here in the title. That's a test for the defense because Louisville had that ability. I think there were some other, like Notre Dame had guys who has the ability to do that. Miami kept it in check for the most part. Later in the game, they got things going, right? I think with CJ Carr, trusting him a little bit more. But Florida had guys on the outside. They couldn't really get anything going. But Louisville, the tackling, you talked about it yesterday. That was really that game. And I think we saw Virginia Tech in the run game as well. The tackling wasn't perfect in that one, but those guys can make something out of nothing. And it's not just those two, right? We were talking about his name escapes me right now, but he averages 23 yards a catch. I'll pull it up right
Bethel.
here. Bethel.
Roman.
Bethel.
Number 3.
I mean, yeah. So they've and then your other boy, who's got some
Mario
juice.
Craver, number 1. Yeah, he's
No, not Craver. I know about.
Oh,
Craver,
sorry, Terry Bussey.
Terry Bussey. So and his production is not crazy this year, but it's a group that has more talent than I think any group Miami's faced this year as a whole.
Yeah, Terry Bussey, I believe, is a former 5-star player. Let me just look at his high school ranking. Yeah, 5-star player, number 1 athlete in the country a couple of years ago. So yeah, he's a dynamic guy. Curtis Matthews saying this must be the Texas A&M station. My friend, I could tell you who's on the Canes roster, but I think you already know. We're trying to know our enemy here. Got to respect it. This is the playoffs, man. So we're when it was Gators week, I was more than happy to drag their roster. Florida State drag their roster. These are good players, man. That's why they're where they're at. And that's why it's going to be very, very difficult for the Canes, but I still think the Canes can get it done here. While we're talking about Marcel Reed, C. Marquez says, I watch a lot of Reed tape. He's a one-read type of quarterback, no progression at all in reading defenses. I believe Hetherman will throw a lot at him pre- and post-snap, forcing him to play real quarterback. I mean, I thought he was pretty smart, to be honest, with good instincts watching him. I think what really hurt Marcel Reed was his size. I mean, he's not the biggest guy. So when he's behind a big offensive line, they protect him very well. But when he does feel pressure, that's a very muddled picture for him at his size. And I think when he gets his footwork is not exactly like pristine. He's more of a backyard player in that way. So when he's off his footwork, he tends to throw inaccurately. And it's not just a 61% completion percentage that shows that, but he has a lot of throws that are either interceptions or interception-worthy throws that were actually the right read, or at least the guy was open, and the ball sailed, the ball was behind, the ball was just inaccurate, leading to the interception or the interception-worthy throw because, again, his mechanics weren't great. So I think that's really the key when you talk about Reed is getting him off his spot, which is easier said than done, given that you're dealing with a very, very talented and experienced offensive line for Texas A&M Aggies. And T-Love says the same thing. It comes down to affecting Reed. That's what Texas did. Absolutely. That is what Texas did. It caused significant problems that way. Biz McDaniel said, Reed is a running quarterback first. He's the head of the snake. He can run. I wouldn't call him a running quarterback. Just looking at his stats, he's got 466 running yards, 5.2 yards in attempts, 6 rushing touchdowns. Then you look at the passing, almost 3,000 passing yards, 8.7 yards per attempt, 61.8% completion, 25 touchdowns. So to me, that's more of a passing quarterback that can run as opposed to a running quarterback. He doesn't really have the size to be a running quarterback. And he's not that type of athlete. Like, he's not a Lamar Jackson out there, or even Castellanos. I would say he's not that level in terms of just moving around, but certainly
enough to keep you honest, though.
More than enough, yeah, for sure. And I think it's going to be more in scramble situations than designed runs. I mean, they'll call a designed run when the opportunity presents itself, but I don't think they're necessarily trying to run him too much, given, number one, the receivers they have, number two, the protection he has, number three, the fact that he's just not that big a guy. And I think if he's running around, he's going to get banged up pretty good.
What did you think about those comments on the RG3 show?
What would he say?
I'm gonna pull it up because I don't think it's copywritten.
Let's see what he said here.
I'm not even gonna tell you what it was. I want you to react to this live here. Sorry,
Let's
give me
see.
a second to pull it up. It was funny. I have some thoughts on it, but I want you to hear it first, and I don't want to butcher what the quote was. So
he's not on ESPN anymore, right? So he's kind of doing his own thing.
No, he has his own thing with his wife. Yeah, here it is.
If Miami came today and offered you $4 million, what do you say?
I have to talk with my parents.
That
It's a PR trained answer.
It's not even a PR trained answer. That is a real answer.
That's a real, yeah.
That's because listen, I know at least from the outside looking in, what A&M has done for you has been great.
Mhm.
I think if any team came in and offered you more money, I think they'd match it.
Yeah.
Because you're such a great player and because you've been great in this community. But the fact that you just said that is perfect because it's real.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of the world we live in today in college football.
Yeah.
It is a business.
Yeah.
And you're in the business of
I won't play the rest. Basically, the next minute is him just him saying, "Look, there's no reason that I should leave. You know, I love it here." Like, I think Reed kind of realized, like, you know, they're doing the interview at A&M and stuff. But listen, buddy, why didn't he ask him if Duke offered him $4 million? Because Miami's not the only school paying quarterback a lot of money this year.
That's fine. I mean, look, if that's the reputation, then that's the reputation. You know, people are going to be putting us on top of their list. Agents are going to be watching our situation. So, you know, that's fine. I don't read too much into that. Reed, I like Reed. I think Reed handles himself the right way. As I see just how he carries himself in games. You know, I don't like Castellanos is a different animal, right? I'm just thinking about like quarterbacks that didn't necessarily handle it the right way and said stupid stuff in the press. And I didn't like some of their body language during the games. I think Reed is a leader. I think he's a good player. You know, he's not going to beat himself. I don't think. I mean, he might throw interceptions, but he's not going to.
I was more on RG3. I was more on RG3's line.
He's just trying to get
there.
Is his wife from a different country? That accent threw me back.
She's Swedish. I think she's Swedish or something.
We got some Swedes to talk about here in a second.
Or Norwegian, so one of those things.
Texas A&M's got one to talk about here from Sweden. But you know, just finishing off the Reed conversation. I like him. I think he's a good player. He's better than I thought he was. Like, I thought he was going to be like a good scrappy player, but his passing is better than I thought. I think you've seen the receivers have helped him, and it's a good fit, right? Because if you had a bunch of like route runners and stuff, like he's not that kind of guy that's just going to sit back, scan, and deliver these accurate balls in the pocket all the time. Like, he to me is a guy that's a big play guy, and he has big play receivers. So put those two together, and you have a nice balance, and you have what Texas A&M has, which is one of the more explosive passing offenses in the country.
But I'm really just thinking about it. How many busted coverages has Miami had this year? I mean, when they've gotten beat, it's the Louisville game was
Notre Dame.
Really, Notre Dame was the tight end.
Yeah,
at the end of the game, there, your boy Raritan. But that's normally you play a quarterback like this. That's what you worry about, right? He gets outside of the tackle box. You don't clean up, you know, when it's congested, and he gets outside, and then a linebacker or safety's in conflict where they have to decide, hey, do I go chase the scrambling quarterback and leave my guy wide open, or, you know, kind of what do I do there? So I think he puts you in those situations for sure. But Miami's defense hasn't really been Castellanos, I guess, later in the game when they went on that little run. Like he did some stuff, but I just don't know how much of that was the nature of the type of defense Miami was playing at that point.
But I will say this, watching them, and again, I watched like 8 or 9 games. I still got a couple to go. He threw more from the pocket than I thought he would. Like, I thought there was going to be more scramble around, but it's actually stand in the pocket, a lot of max protect where they're leaving tight ends back, and he's just launching it down the field and not getting touched. He's more like, I don't consider him necessarily a pure pocket passer just because of his size, but and some of the accuracy stuff, but he does throw from the pocket more in this offense than I thought. I thought he ran around more. He's capable of it. So there is some of that, but it was like, you know, Castellanos, he just runs around. Like, this guy's he's nowhere like that in terms of the way he plays. And I think he's going to be a much bigger threat because of the offensive line in front of him and because he's just a smarter player. So that'll be a test. Got to get him off his spot. And it's going to be difficult to get him off his spot because of this offensive line. We'll finish off with the running game, but I want to get the offensive line. Trey Zune, the third redshirt senior at left tackle. This is the guy that called out Ruben Bain. He's a left tackle, so he'll be matched up on an island with some of these guys. Chase Besantis, big recruit, left guard, physical player. Mark Naboo Jr., redshirt junior at
Miami recruited him, no?
They did. They did.
Yeah, I heard they wanted him badly.
They did. He was a big recruit. These are you see a lot of these guys are older players, right? Redshirt senior, junior, redshirt junior, right guard Armaj Reed Adams. He is a redshirt. See where he's from originally, because I don't believe he's from Texas A&M originally, but he's an NFL prospect as a redshirt senior. He is originally from.
He's a big prospect.
Yeah, where's
DeSoto, Texas.
He was Kansas. He was at Kansas
yep.
and transferred over. Big dude, 6'5", 350 in high school. He's slimmed down a little bit, but he's still a big boy. So that is a very big piece of their offensive line. NFL prospect Armaj Reed Adams at right guard, Demetrius Crownover, redshirt senior at right tackle. Just of those five, the guys that I've seen, and this is early, but the guys that I've seen getting more NFL attention early on would be Trey Zune at left tackle, who had a really, really good year. He's the one that called out Bane. He's not like
I've heard day 2 for him, so that's top 100 pick.
Yeah, he's a good player. I don't know if he's like, they've had some first round type offensive linemen over the years at Texas A&M. I don't think any of these guys are that, but there's guys that will play pro and be good players. Top 100 player is good at tackle. So Trey Zune, one of those, Armaj Reed Adams, the right guard, and then Chase Besantis, the left guard. So those are guys that I've heard have, NFL prospects and chances there on the offensive line. Like I mentioned, 9th in quarterback sack percentage, which is elite, right just behind Miami in that category. They're also good in the running game. So big guys, experienced guys, older guys play well together. It's going to be a very, very tough test. This is, to me, the biggest. I know the receivers and their explosiveness, obviously that is a threat that you jumps out right away with Texas A&M, Marcel Reed. But to me, it's that offensive line and the ability to make everything go, because so much of what Miami does defensively relies on us whipping the other side. And I think this is going to be, if you do whip the other side, it'd be more like Notre Dame, where you really have to overcome some good offensive linemen. It's not like NC State or Pitt, where you're really beating up on some tomato can offensive linemen. This is going to be a toe-to-toe battle here.
Right. Yeah. I think there was a lot of those opportunities in the ACC this year. Obviously, you had it's tough for me to really give much credit to Florida's offensive line. I don't think we had much respect for them, for that unit going in, even though the PFFs of the world did, right, D? So that's not something I can really hang my hat on in terms of success there of FSU, same sort of thing. But it's I also think that you got to realize, man, for Bain and Mesidor, the opportunity, just talking to some people yesterday, because let me tell you, these NFL decisions, now being in the playoff, if you're a guy, really throws a wrench in your NFL decisions, depending on the sort of run that you have as a team here. You go win 3 games or go win 2 games, right, and are very impressive if you're a Markel Bell, right, then does that change where your head's at, right? Now, I say all that to say, if you're Bain and Mesidor, these are money-making opportunities against Texas A&M. This game, I talked to someone yesterday who said, look, we have Bain as a second-round pick because we aren't sure how certain things translate. Now, you're going up against a guy, and because the other thing, too, is more than half the year, you're not going against guys that they think are NFL tackles. If you have the opportunity here against a guy that is going to be an NFL draft pick, this is a money-making game for Bain. Now, I think Bain's going first round, but this is just this is how these teams think still. So money-making opportunities for these guys.
Yeah, no, I know some people are concerned with Bain's length. I mean, I think that's kind of stupid, to be honest with you. I understand where it comes from, but like you look at Trey Hendrickson, where did Trey Hendrickson go? He went pretty late. Third round. Yeah. Trey Hendrickson, he had weighed 31, 32-inch arms, right? And I think Bain's got a lot more power than Trey Hendrickson. He's just a more explosive player in terms of from a power standpoint, the run defense. So I think that'd be a stupid move, but look, that is true. Bain is a polarizing player because he's just not built like everybody, right? But I do think someone will pick him high.
I say all that though to say this is you go in and do it against an NFL type player. That's real film that they look at.
No doubt. So that's the offensive line. Tight end wise, they do use their tight ends. Both of those guys were effective. I look at their stats and it seemed like they were more of a factor than they were, but collectively they're a big part of the offense, but they're just kind of mirror images. So you have Theo Melin Ormström, who is from Sweden. Where's he exactly from in Sweden? Let me look it up.
Let me just say something real quick before we get too far, because I figured people would be saying Bain second round pick. Yeah, right. Second round question mark. So then someone else asking who would be the guys that get picked in front of him. You guys have to understand this. They could have a second round pick on Bain, and they could not have a first round pick on any other defensive end in the first round. That they're grading these players by what they think of them as players. Where they end up drafting them could be higher than what their grade is on them. That doesn't mean that they're going to have other defensive ends graded higher than them, but that's kind of what it is. They're deciding what they want to invest in. And if they think a guy's ceiling is a certain thing, they may not want to invest a top 10 pick in him. That's not to say that I still think he's a top 20 pick in this draft, but I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, and teams are different. So, there's
Some
guys
teams
who
might have him as a top 5 pick.
Yeah, that they're going to be that other teams wouldn't have that player in that range. So it's just this NFL draft season. I think to me that would be. I understand why that we always knew with Bain that would be the discussion, because just he's different than other players the way he's built. So it's not like a simple like, hey, he's our prototype in this way with the length and some of the speed. But I think power rules in the NFL. I'll take power over everything. I think a lot of teams mess up by not picking powerful players. And I think Bain is the definition of a powerful player. But we'll see in this game. But yeah, tight end position, they collectively do a lot of damage. I mentioned Theo Melin Ormström, who is originally from Stockholm, Sweden. That's number 17. And then Nate Borkacher, who is the other tight end, number 87. And they're basically, they're almost the same size. They look almost identical aside from the number. One's 17 and one's 87. But look, 18 receptions for Ormström, 17 for Borkacher, 167 yards for Ormström, 165 for Borkacher. They have the same yards per catch, basically. 1 touchdown for Ormström, 3 for Borkacher. So they're basically the same player when you watch them. Interchangeable. Both do a lot of damage over the middle of the field. Both bigger, longer guys, right? They're not like small, fast H-back types. They look like true tight ends with some length and good, but not great speed and explosiveness. So those two you got to watch over.
It'll be interesting to see how they utilize them, though, right? Because I think that they could create, if they're matched up with a linebacker, they could create an issue vertically.
Yeah, they could. But again, I don't think that they're like you're looking
at
Elijah
Arroyo types that are going to be separating from people.
Yeah,
but
9.7.
There have been lapses in coverage. There have been lapses in coverage at times when it comes to the linebackers. So that's all I'm saying.
No,
if there's been big breaks, I think that's where it has been. It's been the linebackers. So
yeah, I mean, look, you gotta do your job. But in terms of just like what they bring from an explosiveness standpoint, they're both under 10 yards a catch. So I don't think that that's really where they excel. Even like an Eli Raritan, right? The guy who is really a lot better player than I thought. He was nothing coming into this year, but he's exploded this year. He's going to be a pretty decent pick as a senior from Notre Dame, 32 catches. He's 15.1 yards a catch. Obviously had the big catch against the breakdown against Miami. So like Arroyo last year was like something unheard of. I think it was, let me see what Arroyo was last year, but Arroyo last year was a big play machine for Miami's offense. These guys are much more of underneath, not the most explosive guys. Yeah, Arroyo last year, 17 yards per catch, which is crazy for a tight end. Running back wise, they have good running stats. Again, good offensive line. Their quarterback runs. I think all that juices up their running game. They have a good running scheme. I don't think their backs are as dangerous as their receivers. You look at the guy who's been starting for them recently since the injury to Le'Veon Owens. That's Le'Veon Moss. Sorry, that's Reuben Owens, who is a former big recruit. I remember when he was coming out, he had all the measurables, a 5-star player, number 2 running back in the country, had a ton of 10.6.8, 100 meters, had a ton of juice. He's been banged up, tore his ACL, so he's not as explosive, or at least doesn't look as explosive to me watching him. His yards per attempt is good, though, 5.5 yards per attempt, 618 yards, 5 touchdowns. So he's a capable back, and he can show you flashes of explosiveness, but I wasn't blown away by what he brings. He's a good back, but he's not like, ridiculous. I wasn't crazy about what he brought, but he's not bad by any stretch. But the guy that really makes this running game go is Le'Veon Moss, who 389 yards, 5.6 yards a carry, 6 touchdowns. But that was in a very short amount of games. If they can get him back, he is their bigger back. He is the guy that makes a big difference for them, in my opinion. One running back that's been emerging lately, E.J. Smith, 191 yards on the season, but that name sounds familiar. He's actually Emmitt Smith's son. Signed originally with Stanford and then transferred to Texas A&M. Had 4 carries against Texas, 7 against South Carolina, 6 against Missouri, 5 against LSU. So he's been getting an increased workload. So he's someone to keep an eye on. Again, their running game is good, but I think really with them, it's those receivers, man, and avoiding those big plays.
Yeah, I don't think the run game necessarily jumps out at you. Obviously, Reed can run too. We have to, which we talked about him, but the design stuff is. They're not trying to get him killed out there, as you said. So I think what ends up happening, though, D, is like you just said, that the passing game is an extension of their run game. So,
yeah, no question. They do a lot of short passes, those guys. Concepcion's been a running back in the past. So
they do a lot of jet sweep sort of stuff. You know, he's coming across formation. So that's the stuff that you have to be ready for if you're Miami's defense.
Tackling, as always, is going to be a premium when you have guys that can go to the house. You look at Craver against Notre Dame. That was a high-flying game against Notre Dame. Both teams scored in the 40s. And you look at some of the plays. I mean, Notre Dame was really sloppy in that game. Mario Craver broke like 4 tackles on a long catch and run. And this is a guy that's not very big. So you got to tackle. You cannot miss tackles with these wide receivers. They're smaller than you. You got to bring them down to the ground. That is huge for this game. If they're going to make plays, that is going to happen. There's a big difference between a 30-yard gain and a 60-yard touchdown. So you have to get him down to the ground. KC Concepcion, I don't know where the Concepcion comes from. I don't know if that's a Cuban name or what, but whatever he is, I know he would enjoy East Las Canarias Cuban Express. Got the full menu right there in the Dayland Mall Dining Pavilion. 7 different types of croquetas, all kinds of items. But the cool thing with the holidays, the catering menu. So you go to the website, eastlascanadiasexpress.com, go to the catering menu. You can order up for your party, whether it's your playoff party for the Texas A&M game, Christmas party, Hanukkah party, whatever party you are having, New Year's, they will take care of you at East Las Canadias Cuban Express. Look at all these different catering options. There are a ton of different packages, which will make sure that you are a very popular guy at your party, because this is the best Cuban food on the planet, and it will be arranged nice and easy for you for your party, all your catering needs. And if you just need to stop and get some food for lunch, the Dayland Mall Dining Pavilion, I was there yesterday. That place is bustling. And so many great options there. I got a bunch of East Las Canadias gear, which I'll be rocking on the show that we do with Mike Ryan today at 1:30 p.m.
Bussin' and bustling, man. That food's bussin'. I know that food's bussin'.
Wait, what's bussin'?
It's bussin'. That thing's hitting.
See, that slang missed me. I was a little after my time. Bussin'.
Yeah, it's bussin'.
So bussin' with the boys. That's what it means.
Well, I think that's like the bus. They're actually on a bus.
Oh, I see. Yeah. All right. Yeah, we're learning something today. You want to learn about landscaping and have the experts guide you through the process, home or commercial property. OrchidManFlorida.com, ORCHID Florida.com. Landscape artisans in South Florida, from Palm Beach all the way down to the Keys. They will run the show for you. 786-271-0332. There's a lot of stuff that goes into really having that elite landscaping on your property, on your business, and they will guide you through the process with attention to detail, making sure you're getting your property value up, getting your curb appeal up with a beautiful South Florida landscape. Sprinkler repair, irrigation, rain gutters, hurricane prep, lighting, fertilizing, tree stump grinding, all the dirty work. They will take care of you and guide you through the process, the purchasing of the best plants in South Florida, all the stuff you need to have your landscaping spick and span. They will take care of you at OrchidMan Florida, ORCHID Man Florida.com.
Mention where we were last night.
Oh, Duffy's Tavern, man. That was a fun event. That was great. Yeah, that was a blast.
What a guy Don Bailey Jr. is, man.
The guy's got more juice than anybody on the planet.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's fired up. Yeah. I was talking. I was just telling him, man, you had to go through, Middle Tennessee State and all these losses and stand in the paint, and now you're getting to at least enjoy some wins.
It's funny because I was talking Canes hoops with someone last night, and I said we got Louisiana Monroe on Saturday, and they said, man, that's the school that Saban lost to in his first year at Alabama. So all the great ones have that really embarrassing loss at some point.
It's true, so true. Pete Carroll, I think his first year he was like 6-6 or something at USC. So yeah, it takes a while. I think really what kind of hurt Cristobal in his narratives, and it's a reality. It wasn't a narrative. It was Georgia Tech kneel down. I think that really set back his reputation. It took a while to build it back up, which you can understand. I mean, that was a pretty bad one. But I think right now, the Miami Hurricanes are a team that everyone in the country takes seriously, which is why you're seeing a lot of people pick us to even upset Ohio, like to win this game and upset Ohio State. I'm seeing a lot of brackets where Miami's getting a lot of respect. People know this is a dangerous team, obviously.
Well, I think there were questions about Ohio State going into the game. I mean, there was a lot of people who said, look at their schedule. They haven't really beaten anybody. You beat Texas week 1. Texas was a good team, very talented team, but I don't think it was the team. It was the team that we thought they could be this year, especially not week 1. So I think the way that they lost that game against Indiana, just not really showing much explosiveness. The defense is legit. I know that defense can cause some issues, but I think the questions that a lot of people had about, look, Julian Sand was in that mix for the Heisman, but was that a product of what the team was doing and the numbers he's putting up, beating up on some of these teams that were playing? Or is that because he is really commanding what's going on there? I don't know. So I think that the jury's out on Ohio State. Now, one loss this year, defending champs, they deserve to be where they are. Let me not disrespect what they've built to this point, but I think that's why people are maybe looking at it and saying Miami could come out of this thing.
Yeah. By the way, Mr. Milan Baby says Casey Concepcion is Puerto Rican.
I was going to say I know a couple brothers, the Concepcion brothers, that are Puerto Rican, but I didn't want to just assume that would be translate across.
It was the golden age of Hispanic players, man. Pavia and Mendoza going for the Heisman, Jacob Rodriguez winning the Butkus. It's a golden age, man. But yeah, the Concepcion's the one the Canes are going to have to worry about on the 20th. Let's see what else is going on. Mr. Milan asking, Pete, we need some B-ball recruiting use.
Yeah, look, they have Caleb Gaskin signed right now. He's asking about Jackson Richardson. I don't think that one's happening. He's not at Columbus anymore. You probably saw that news. Prolific Prep, we'll see. I know they've been around there, a few times recently, but I still expect them to land, one of the top 10 point guards in the country here. So I'll dig for you, man, but really nothing that I know of is imminent right now. Deron Rippey, has he officially announced? Because Mingo and Rippey were, the two guys that they were really, yeah. He hasn't officially committed yet, Rippey. I mean, I think that one, from what I understand, is down to Duke, North Carolina State, and Miami. So a bit of an uphill battle, but I think Duke probably in the driver's seat there, and Miami and NC State also in the mix.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So yeah, man, it's fun. A lot of playoff stuff going on too, by the way. College football playoff. I know I want to just talk about the bracket in general. Let me pull up the bracket here for the college football playoff because I want to get your thoughts.
Oh, you know what? Because we're talking, it's a playoff team. Let's talk about this, D, and we can go into the playoff discussion with this. But I found this strange yesterday from our new nemesis up there in Gainesville. I'm getting a lot of the corny feel that. By the way, there was a lot of talk about Dan Mullen being too corny. Billy Napier just never really had the juice, and now we got G5 Johnny posting stuff like this. I've got 2 phones, 2 jobs, and 2 hours of sleep. # Go Gators, # Roll Wave. Listen, if I'm a Gator fan, I want that Tulane thing to be over as soon as possible, and I want his undivided attention here.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. You also want him to upset and kind of look good, right? You don't want to get smoked, and you're like, all right, we got this guy that just got embarrassed on national TV in front of everybody. So it's like, it's kind of a lose-lose, I guess, for them. This is, I agree with you. I didn't know much about this guy. This was ridiculous. You see that first comment there. I had to check this was a parody account. G5 Johnny is a good one. But he did a commercial. Did you see that? It was like a fake commercial.
Oh, yes. The recruiting day one. Corny, man.
He was acting like,
yeah.
I think honestly what I think this is I think he knows, and they told him that, hey, everybody wanted Lane, and he's at least being self-aware of that. But instead of like just doing his job and trying to win, he's trying to like act and do a PR campaign to make them forget about Lane. I guess because Lane does some of that stuff too. To me, it's bizarre. And if I'm a Gator fan, especially after all these failed coaching hires, I'm nervous right now.
You know what's interesting
right
is that Sumrall, Strickland, the AD, did an interview with Andy Staples yesterday or the day before, and the AD said that in the meeting, one of the meetings they had, Sumrall was like, "Are you not concerned that I'm the second G5 coach from Louisiana in a row that you're hiring?" And Strickland's like, look, they're not gonna like it at first, but they're gonna have to get like they'll come to love you. Like Sumrall, if he was already asking that question in the meetings leading up to it, what you're saying has, I think, a lot of truth to it in terms of he's. And then, by the way, in the press conference, I watched the press conference because I wanted to, at least the first like 20 minutes of it, I wanted to see, if there were any interesting remarks or comments. And one of the first things he said was, "Hey, look, I know Lane and I talked, and he told me that I was the best man for the job." But he tried to say it as a joke. It was a very strange, I don't think it hit in the room the way he thought it was. So yes, I think what you said is true. Maybe he's got some sort of inferiority complex in his head with some of these other coaches that maybe were the first choice. I don't know.
Yeah, it's bizarre, man. It's bizarre. And look, taking Tulane to the college football playoff is a tremendous accomplishment. But the coach that preceded Sumrall, if they had a 12-team playoff for those teams with Pratt at quarterback and Alex Bauman at tight end from Miami Hurricane, they'd be in too. So it's not like Tulane was not at this level before
Willie Fritz built that up. Yeah.
Yeah. The difference was just that the playoff expanded. Tulane was just as good of a G5 team before he got there. Right. So I'd be nervous. It's going to be very interesting to see what he does. So he's not an offensive coach, right? College linebacker.
Yeah.
He hired the offensive coordinator from Georgia Tech, which look, Georgia Tech's played well on offense, right? They've given us some problems.
But is he a Haynes? Is Buster Faulkner a Haynes King merchant though? Is that we don't know that Haynes King is a dog. Haynes King's a great college quarterback and perfect for what they want to do there.
Yeah. Now I will say that guy Philo, Philo, when he would come in, the backup to Haynes King, he was always pretty good. So maybe he's good, or the system is good. I don't know, but they got to get a quarterback. They're not going to get Haynes King. So is it going to be Lagway? They're going to try to run. They can't run the Haynes King offense with Lagway. Lagway's not that kind of runner, even though he should be with his body. But I don't think you want necessarily him running that way. We'll see, man. Techstar makes a good point. Tulane has a talent advantage over the G5. Number 2 behind LSU in the state. I mean, yeah, Tulane does have better players. They had Darren Mensah last year who went to Duke and ended up being a good player for Duke. They had Pratt at quarterback. Now they got the, Retzlaff. So they've had some good quarterbacks. But this is a weird one, man. And then between this and the commercial, I'm not feeling very good. If I'm a Florida Gator fan, let's look at their recruiting class. I know they got some good players coming in, but it wasn't exactly.
That's really such an underrated aspect of Mario. He's obviously embraced the media stuff here the last few weeks. He's had to, and I think, really does a good job in his media stuff. But I'm talking about the social media stuff. He he realized that was such from the previous staff, it was just such a thing that was something you could point at and laugh at. And it was a joke around a lot of college football because it was the most vocal staff on, and I'm not saying you still need an element of social media. Obviously the staff is on social media now, but it's just like a lot of chest beating before you do anything. And I know that's not what Summerall's doing here, but to me, it's like it's such an unnecessary thing for the head coach to get involved in.
Big time. And then look at the recruiting class. I'm seeing a lot of names that Miami did not recruit. Local names that Miami just did not want. And they got some good players. Kendall Gorville, someone Miami definitely wanted. CJ Broniff, I like from Orlando area, fast corner. Hezzy Kent, we know we liked him. Marquez Daniels. They got some good players in this class, but also a lot of guys that, Miami just didn't really pursue at some top programs. So we'll see. Obviously, there's going to be a race to keep Dallas Wilson. I saw Dallas Wilson was tweeting at President Trump, I guess, to get his brother a pardon. So good luck negotiating. Did you see that tweet?
I did.
Good luck negotiating NIL with Dallas Wilson when he's tweeting at the president asking for a pardon. I think, and look, I mean, I get why he wants it, but the self-awareness part of it is tough when you're negotiating NIL. And we've seen with Dallas Wilson from the high school recruiting, that was a little bit of a circus. He played really, really well. He's a super talented player. So I expect him to command a huge amount of money to stay at UF. You got to keep him. You got to keep Vernell Brown.
He's got a direct line. He's got Rubio's son on the team. He's got the line there. But I don't know. Maybe after Marco came out in support of the Canes recently, he says, I don't know if I can get that done.
That's right. Well, we'll see. Yeah, maybe that's what it takes to keep him at Florida, right? Because he's going to be a hot commodity. Vernell Brown, they got some good players they can keep. I think the Gators are years away from relevance. And look, from a Miami standpoint, you're from Miami, you're going to be in the college football playoff every year. That's your mindset. I don't see the Gators in the college football playoff anytime soon. We beat them twice, 2-0, blowouts both. So I don't think we got to think about them too much going forward, which is a good feeling if you're a Hurricane fan, just kind of leaving that program well in the dust. So that's the best part of the whole deal.
I know we want to get in the playoff, but something that I've been thinking of the last couple of days is like, because everything that we heard, and I still could be the case here, is Miami wanted to act quickly at quarterback in the portal. Just kind of trying to figure out what the next step is now that you're in the playoffs. Do you think the timeline gets pushed back at all? I mean, obviously the portal's not officially open yet, but we're starting to see these names. We know Levitt's going to be in there now. Do you think it would be a weird dynamic as Miami hopefully makes a run here? You also have your quarterback kind of locked up for next year. Do you think that they would like hold an announcement? Like, there's a lot to work through, but how do the guys on the team feel if you know that there's going to, if they're making a run, if they win a couple games here, but at the same time, you got the portal opening and you got to make some moves. So,
well, the portal doesn't open officially until January 2nd, right? So that would require, a couple things happening, right? Before like we're playing and that's happening at the same time. So most likely either one of those scenarios is going to be good, right? You're either done, which is not good, but you'll be ready for the portal when it opens, or you're rolling and playing, which is what you want to be doing, and they're going to be knocking down your door because you're playing great. Carson Beck would probably be playing great in that scenario, and I think you'll be turning guys down. So I don't think the timing will be that bad with the way the portal is now with the new window. And the new window, just to be clear, January 2nd to January 2016.
As Cran Ryder says, obviously you can't officially contact them in the first, but we know, as there was already comments, the agents are working in the background. The agents are allowed to talk. So,
right. And just timing wise, if you defeat Texas A&M, which obviously is going to be a battle, and then you got to play Ohio State on December 31st in the Cotton Bowl. If you beat Ohio State, now you're in basically the Fiesta Bowl quarter or semifinals when the portal opens. And I think at that point, you're in a pretty good position. But just talking about some of the names, yeah, you're right. There's tampering going on with these. I mean, these agents are calling everybody like it's always a muck. But I say tampering. Tampering is like us calling people. We're not calling anybody. These agents are calling everybody under the sun trying to shop their players. So I use the wrong word there because, tampering, you're thinking about a team saying like, we want this guy on this other team. We're going to force him into the portal. That's not the word I mean to use. What I'm talking about is agents calling up everybody under the sun saying, hey, if my guy jumps in the portal, what do you think? Which is happening all over the country because of the agents, right? Because of the player side. You've already seen that with Sam Levitt. So, just some names that I've seen mentioned. Pete, I want to get your thoughts here. We talked about these guys a ton, but they're always being mentioned in the comments, and these videos always go crazy. So I know people are focused on this, as are we. Some questions on, Dennis Taylor says, get Sam Levitt. No Smoke says, nope, Levitt's injured, would miss spring and is a 60% passer. Brendan Sorsby from Cincinnati should be QB1. Techstar saying, I like Levitt, but Dylan Raiola might be a better fit. What else do we got here? A lot of people. Dade Kid saying Austin Simmons from Ole Miss can have him for 2 years. Trey Kendrick saying Derek Menza from Duke, go check his numbers. I don't know if you're going to be pulling guys necessarily out of, a team that is having success, and he's playing really well. Giovanni Foster asked about North Texas quarterback Drew Mestemaker.
Relative success, 7-5. 5
well, he's
losses.
he's throwing the ball well. I think like he's playing well and putting up stats. So, and he's getting paid a lot. So, like from his personal perspective, I think he's fine. And then North Texas quarterback.
He has to
Drew
be coached by
Mestemaker.
Manny, though. Man, that's. I don't know if you want to do that for another year.
yeah,
North Texas QB probably go to Oklahoma State with his coach, no?
Yeah, so I think that's. So all those guys, Levitt, what you like, he's Arizona State quarterback, twitchy, quick arm, strong arm, can get out of pressure, just very quick. Has proven himself against teams like Texas Tech this year, was in the college football playoff last year, performed very well. So you love all that, the toughness. He's originally from Westland, Oregon. That's where he's from. Signed with Michigan State, then goes to Arizona State. The only thing that worries me is that I don't like guys that move that much. And like he didn't go to the banquet for Arizona State. I don't understand what that was about. Dillingham was very complimentary of him. Dillingham has taken a very positive approach to these portal departures on Twitter. He's like, hey, man, this guy's great. You should go get him, kind of doing a different move, which is interesting. But that's something I think about there.
He also lets guys practice, by the way, which I think is interesting. He lets guys who are entering the portal practice during the bowl practice. He's like, this is 2025. Yeah, and he's like, this is 2025's team. They're not going to be here next year, but shoot, we need them now.
Yeah. Like Bo Pribula was one where that was an issue last year with Penn State. Dylan Raiola at Nebraska, another guy that's moved around a lot. He moved around a lot in high school. He almost entered the portal last year. I know there's a lot of concern from Nebraska side that because they really, Matt Rule, the best agent in the world, they've kind of stunk and he struggled. Not he personally, but the offense has struggled. The team has struggled. So could he jump in the portal trying to get to a better situation? Kind of reminds me of like a Carson Beck type of player as far as like high completion percentage, good at reading defenses. I don't know. The Mahomes Act, that's tricky to get over. Maybe it's just me, but he's someone's going to get attention in the portal. Brendan Sorsby, who can run and throw from Dallas, Texas, kind of like reminds me of a tier. He's from the same part of town in Dallas, Texas area. He can run, he can throw, he's got a good arm. He's another guy that can potentially go pro from Cincinnati, maybe take advantage of a easy quarterback class. Drew Mestemaker from North Texas, super talented guy, but it needs work. Big player, athletic, did not play in high school. He's like a safety in high school, as a backup quarterback, didn't start until he got to college, which is crazy. But he's a very talented guy, most likely, in my opinion, to follow his quarterback to Oklahoma State. CJ Bailey's the one I always bring up at NC State. I think that's the cleanest fit. You actually look at his numbers next to Mendoza. He was better than Mendoza his first 2 years in the ACC than Mendoza was his last 2 years at California. So tools, high floor, high ceiling. I think Bailey's the cleanest fit. Pete, I haven't asked you, where do you see as far as like, who would you take right now, knowing what you know now? And let's assume that some of these usual suspects are in the portal. Let's speculate a little bit.
Man, I think Sorsby's a really good overall. Sorsby might have a little bit of everything. He's won some games. He's played for a solid team. He's got some dual threat ability. He's got NFL type talent, because we always have this discussion. Could you go get a guy who's like a really good college quarterback? I'm not like Rocco Becht. He might end up going to Penn State now, for example.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Campbell. But like, could a Rocco Becht be Miami's quarterback and you win a lot of games with him and succeed because he's a veteran guy? He's played at a high level and won you games. Yeah, you could, but I still think that ideally you want a guy with some big time NFL upside, just because of some of the stuff you can do with them within the offense. I would also like a guy with some mobility, which a lot of these guys were talking about: Levitt, Sellers, Sorsby, like we're talking about now. With Sorsby, it's the NFL thing. He's in a pretty decent spot right now after the season he's had, and it's not a strong class. We continue to go through this. It seems like a weekly discussion now. Like I wouldn't, if you're not drafting Fernando Mendoza, I wouldn't. And I'm a Beck believer, but I wouldn't be too thrilled about some of the options out there right now. So Sorsby, to me, if he has an opportunity, if he feels like he's going to be a first-round pick, what I think he's got a good chance to in this current landscape, I would think that's a pretty interesting, appealing option for him. Sellers, the upside with the athletic ability and what he can do not only with his legs, but he's got a huge arm, is very intriguing, but seemed to regress this year. He's going to cost you a lot, which any of these guys we're talking about is going to cost you a lot of money. Let me put that out there. The Bailey one, I'm still very intrigued by. D, I'm very in on that one if it comes to fruition. I think it makes the most sense in terms of the transition to the locker room. I think that there's still more meat on the bone in terms of his development, in terms of what he's shown, and he's already played a lot with multiple years potentially. So,
yeah, I agree. I think that's the cleanest fit. Sorsby, if I were him, I'd go NFL. So I don't know why he would come back and build his stock up to go in a year where more quarterbacks are going to be available. Most likely, you never know, but I think that's how it's trending. So we'll see, man, on that. Sellers, I didn't mention him the first time. I should have. Sellers is definitely one of those names in the mix. They just got Art Briles at quarterback, or as offensive coordinator. I'm sorry. So
no, Kendall Briles.
Kendall Briles. I'm sorry.
Big difference.
Yeah, Art Briles' son, which makes a lot of sense for what he likes to do. I think with Sellers, I like Sellers. I think Sellers is super talented. He's got great personality. He works hard. Like, he to me is someone I would want to bet on and put in a better situation with a better offensive line. South Carolina stinks. Their offensive line is terrible. Their receivers just really kind of limited in some of the things they can do. So I would like a Sellers in a new situation. Sellers and Dawson, I don't know if that's a mix just in terms of what Dawson likes in his passers. He likes accuracy over pure power. So I don't know if that's the way he goes. Sellers is such a high horsepower passer that maybe the accuracy is a little less, and the reading the defenses needs to improve, even though he's a smart guy. So, I don't see that one, but I don't know.
Austin Simmons has been thrown around. I'm a huge fan of the talent. I think he needs to go somewhere that he's going to be the guy.
Yeah, and he hasn't done anything yet. So I think
JKS, he's staying at Cal, Jaron Kiowa, Segapoltelli, and I think that's a good move. We talked about that a few weeks ago. If I'm him, you do another year now. You have Tosh Lapoy there as head coach. I think they're gonna get him some solid weapons, right? And you're coming off this fantastic season. Give it another go this year. It's either you continue to progress or you're in a great position to, if you want to jump somewhere else year 3 before the NFL, you can do that if they haven't given you the piece in place. And if you just don't have a good year this year, then, or you regress, then it's, look, maybe the coach wasn't ready for his opportunity as a head coach. Maybe whatever the situation is didn't work out, but you can still kind of fall back on, well, look what I did year 1. And if he doesn't have a good year next year, he'll still be a wanted man in the portal after that.
Yeah, I would agree. That's probably that's the move that makes sense for him. They're going to pay him, it seems like. We'll see. I mean, some of the stuff, that's the other thing about the timing. We don't know how these things will work out. I mean, Beck was a late addition to the sweepstakes. Cam Ward, back and forth. So it's hard to project right now with the portal opening January 2nd and so many dominoes to fall. You don't know if one of these coaches goes pro and then someone just comes available. I mean, there's dominoes that, like, maybe one coach goes pro. I'll use an example. Let's say Marcus Freeman goes pro, right? He's getting a lot of NFL interest from the Giants. And let's say somebody with a good job now goes to take Marcus Freeman's job at Notre Dame, and they have a good quarterback. Does that quarterback become available? I mean, these are just the ways that this can change from now till January 2nd. I don't know. We'll see. Sarkisian's another one, NFL buzz. I don't think Manning's going to go anywhere, but just all these things have domino effects. So we'll find out where it goes, but we'll be covering all the portal talk on CanesInSight.com. You know where to check it out every single day. Oh, great comment here I want to get to. Hold on. Where is it? Right here. My guy said, sign up for Canes. There it is. Dizzy Dean says, up your Canes connection so we can get these guys. So if you want to up your Canes connection, CanesConnection.com/CIS. There it is right there. Sign up using the promo code. Get a discount your first month, and you will be contributing to this next quarterback, whoever it may be. You've seen the proof of concept. We're in the playoffs, man. You know what it is. This is what it takes. Appreciate everybody who's been part of it. And we'll see who can hop on board. But CanesConnection.com/CIS. Join the movement. Be part of Miami carrying that trophy, which hopefully will be very, very soon. And I know you got to hop off piece, so we're going to wrap up right now. But don't forget, we're in the playoffs. Get your CFP gear at the Miami Hurricane Team Store, MiamiHTS.com, right across the street from the University of Miami next to the Thesis Hotel. Promo code INSIGHT20 will get you 20% off your first item. That's INSIGHT20, 20% off your first item at the Miami Hurricane Team Store, MiamiHTS.com. Get your playoff gear today. All right, CP,
we'll back on
30.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I got to get some stuff together for the show here that we got with Mike at 1:30. So stay tuned for that.
Go Canes.
Go Canes.